You just sort of like, you have to put the location in?
Yeah, I think there's probably when I say however I express my intent to drop it, my phone is going to find my location.
Yeah.
Using
GPS.
OpenStreetMap?
Probably, yeah, something like that.
By,
That's great. Using like the phone's geolocation.
When we came up with this, you would do it in response to a venue post. So you can, on your own website, say, here's a venue. And then a comment on that can be, okay, I'm going to drop a monster in this venue. And then the venue is the one that's like collecting the monsters.
Yeah.
It's just like you collect comments.
So would the venue be Duncan?
You can define a venue as anything. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one.
And now would multiple people be able to collect the monster?
So the way it works is up to the person posting it.
Alright, so that's the venue, that's one thing.
The venue is like always visible.
This is the issuer.
And then the issuer essentially drops the monster on the venue, just like you would drop a comment on a post.
Yeah.
But that comment is geofenced, meaning that it basically says, don't show this comment unless the viewer is within this geofence. So if you happen to be looking at that venue in whatever like venue browser you're using, aka like a map, then you would see that, oh, there's a bunch of stuff here, and those monster posts could be
like
shown.
Similar to how like on Pokemon Go, like when you zoomed out of like the little map, there would be little leaves.
Yeah.
That would show you where a potential Pokemon.
Right. So the venue could even say like, oh, there's a bunch of geofence posts here, but not tell you what. And then when you're there, it would actually show you them.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah. And then the analogy to collecting a monster we came up with is like bookmarking it. So if you basically bookmark the monster.
I think you should come up here and use my pen.
Yeah.
I think your handwriting is much neater.
Then you have to talk a lot slower.
Okay. Well, you've written most of it down, I think, and we're just talking about specifics.
I'm just not sure. So what I got is venue is Duncan.
Yep.
We made the monster. The issuer is Marty, right? So then Marty has.
No, Marty's the host of the venue. Oh, Marty's right. You're making the monster. Got it. Okay, I see.
Marty's making the monster.
Right.
This is where he's going to put the monster. This is the monster.
Mm-hmm.
And the monster now Marty, the issuer is locating the venue using OpenStreetMap.
Or however.
Or whatever.
Whatever he finds the venue.
Which is part of this app, the open webmon.
Yeah.
Then what? And then issues it, I guess.
Then he basically like writes a comment on a special kind of reply, which is how we design a lot of stuff in the IndieWeb, to the venue. That's geofenced, and that's the monster.
Is that part of the drops the NZ-saurus step?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're creating it at that point. Like that is the creation step.
He located the venue.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it's part of the make a monster. Is that what you're gonna say?
Well, maybe when you're making a monster, you're kind of like figuring out what you're about to post, and then dropping the monster. That's the part where you actually make it. Right?
It's all the same thing. One action.
You think it would be one action?
One action. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is it. I suspect it would be like a maker, a brewery.
Yeah.
So, in the brewery, we're basically.
Like when you're viewing a venue post, one of the options you have is to drop a monster.
Yeah, but you haven't made one yet, so that step is really about like figuring
Or
out what the
make a
monster is.
Yeah.
You're designing it, and then you also have to add the web mentions. Is that what you're saying?
But to me, all those are just like.
They're just parts of one.
Like taking a photo.
Yeah.
Like saying, oh, I can't post a photo because I haven't made the photo yet. Well, it's part of the same step.
Yeah, I think these are
post
all
a photo.
happening at the same time, but they all have to occur. Yes.
Yeah, there's a flow.
Yeah, you have to get it.
Ben Windmill looks very attentive.
Hey Ben, how are you?
Hi.
Oh, I haven't seen Ben in
How are
ages.
you?
You just popped in, like.
Okay.
We're talking about
I
monsters.
think I have the same kitchen cabinets.
Yeah, Ben, they stole my badge system and turned it into let's build your IndieMon monster game.
Well, I feel like it's possibly more engaging, but can be reproduced. I want to make sure we can reproduce it. Okay, so then you
I'm
look
still
at the
writing
venue.
a badge or a search workflow for
We
you.
dropped it.
You drop it as basically like you reply to the venue and then it shows up there if you happen to be near the venue.
Land, monster.land.
So you by making a reply.
Yeah, to the venue. So that way the venue, like, that's where it sends the web mention. Your monster post is a reply to the venue. The venue picks it up like, oh, someone sent me a comment, a reply of a monster. Okay, cool, it's geofenced.
Yeah.
So how do you say that? Not in nerd.
Yeah, where like I'm starting to lose where these posts live and what their deal is.
So like
So-
every post that you would create, the original lives on your site.
Okay, so like the venue is actually on my site as
On
well.
someone else, it could be anywhere. A venue is a venue post that accepts
Oh.
web mentions.
Okay.
On your own site, on my site, on somebody else's
Or
site,
Duncan.
What if it's on
or
in-
Duncan's site
Duncan's? Yeah. So if Duncan has a page that is,
for their store.
but it has to like collect and display web mentions, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Of course,
okay.
Just
that's
like-
an assumption. I think they
That's
probably
just
have,
like a blog post displays
But
comments.
that's a pretty big assumption.
That's a huge one.
Well, we're assuming that they're supporting this, so.
I was here's a proposal.
But like, I feel like,
Like we could totally fake it if the IndieWebCamp app, which is a website, if it had venues. So if
Okay,
it
yeah.
has venue posts.
Then there'd be an entry for.
So all you
for
need is
Duncan.
one like venue.
what if it
Posting
wasn't
thing.
Duncan? What if it was Case?
Any one of us could create that venue.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's like we're,
Yeah.
like Pace is like
As a
more
placeholder.
DIY-y. Like we could do it versus Duncan, which is like a corporation that's
Right.
right. For us to
Right.
infiltrate, despite my attempts. So let's just make it Pace.
Yeah.
And so
Well, the owner of the venue doesn't have to create the venue post. That's my point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is part of the like why it's so indie.
Okay.
Is that like anyone can like create a venue
So what
and
would
be a
the
host for
what
stuff.
would the what's the, like a URL for Duncan?
it'd be the URL for that post, like, and that would just be a venue post type. So it's the making the venue doesn't like.
But
so what,
that's theory. What like in practice, I could have on my site. I actually do have like pages for venues where I host events.
Oh, you do?
So,
You have
yeah,
venue posts.
I have some venue posts.
Okay.
So give me a URL that you would have.
Yeah, so it would just be like mmg.re
Well-
/ venues.
/ Duncan.
Yeah, / Duncan.
But on the flow there,
So,
one
like,
of
a
the steps was
categorized
on phone
post?
browser. You go to the
Yeah, it's
app.
like a special
So
type.
like, I assume the app would be the one hosting the website for this.
no, the app would be a
Indie
micropub client, wouldn't it?
Microsoft.
Wait
a
because
minute.
it's got to publish.
We're too far again. We've gone off into the weeds.
Don't worry about discovery. Like assume that like you have found this venue somehow.
Alright, so
Right.
here's the venue.
Yay.
Here's the issuer. I've gotten to highlighter mode, guys.
It's getting tense.
I got other colors here. I got a color for it.
So then you, basically, the issuer made the venue at some point.
No, they could be two different
They
people.
they'd be.
The
okay.
issuer found the venue at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever, this exists somewhere in the world.
Mhm.
And
And
the
this person
URL.
knows about it.
And
Yeah.
the issuer is the one who creates the monster.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So Setbacks. issuer
What?
comes to Duncan.
Mhm.
Duncan is theoretically this place here. At IndieWebCamp in New York.
Yeah.
He hides a monster, hoping that other IndieWebCampers will find it. So to do that, he goes on his browser. He goes to the mobile web app.
I mean, yeah, you literally just go to the venue URL. You don't even need to make it an app.
Well, how would you know what it is?
Maybe you have a QR code sticker that's like at the venue. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, this is important though.
Like,
Yeah, so
in
wait.
the flow.
When you say I go to the web page for the venue, then what? I need some app, just like some process is being
Yeah.
followed to create my post in
Yeah.
reply to that venue, like as a
Right, so like if this was
whatever.
a camera and you took a photo.
Yeah.
Rather than a badge, how do you get the photo onto this website?
so like, how do you write a comment when you go to a website that has a comment box? This is like it's more structured version of that.
but that way, well, that suggests that the venue has some way of me to post.
A comment.
Are we using IndieWeb building blocks here?
Yeah.
In that case, I would use a micropub client that's
That's
going to
what I'm
post to my site.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I
Okay.
was trying to say. It
Which-
has to be
which
both
I think is
sides.
what this
Which is
is.
why I said microsub. Like, if you loaded this venue in your microsub client that also supports micropub,
I think that's later.
No, that's the same. I think it's the same thing. It's got to be both Microsoft and Micropub. Because
So
I
you
need.
want to follow the venue, right? Is that the idea? Follow the venue so that you then you see what's posted there.
how do you write replies in micropub at all?
Hey, so we've got 3 minutes left.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
for
glad we
saying-
got through this.
No, this is the idea, and then we spend all day tomorrow building
Yeah.
these things.
No, I think that's a nice thing, because like, you obviously can write comments on posts today, so stop getting hung up on how do I actually do that step by step, because you're already doing it. You're already liking posts,
This is
you're
the
already
difference between
reposting posts,
trying to streamline the process or seeing if it's possible?
So skip streamlining it.
Yeah.
That's why you're getting lost in the weeds of like, how do I?
Okay.
Okay. So everything here is like exactly analogous to you found something on the internet, you're like bookmarking it, favoriting it, liking it, responding it. We know those are possible. We know there are user flows for them. We don't need to rewrite their user flows.
So here you can basically, bookmark whatever,
Yeah.
badge.
And the easiest one for that is that like, is someone who's got like indie venues that could go around to the venues and like create little QR code stickers that have a monster on them and like stick them somewhere. And then people find it and they take a picture like, oh, okay.
Right.
But doesn't that change dropping a monster into having to print a QR code and stick it on the wall? 'Cause
Oh, I see. If
Those
you're
are two
creating
totally
a new
different.
venue.
The venue creator sticks the sticker, not the
Yeah.
monster dropper. The monster dropper
oh, use
reads
the
the-
sticker
reads the
to drop
sticker
it. Okay.
and be like, this is where I'm gonna drop my monster.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But maybe they could be digital stickers. That way.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're geocached to a specific location.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think where I'm getting hung up, because we've come at this we've bounced up and down. We started at the very high level of like, what does this flow look like? And then we went way down to how do we represent this as web pages over HTTP.
I think we're getting lost with the
And I
like,
still need
go
help on how do I
to
build this to
go
get
to an
it out,
app
like,
and
for
log in
each-
with IndieOff. Like we don't need that level of detail. We just need like you find a venue, drop a monster on that venue just like you would drop a comment.
Okay, well, that's here then.
Yeah.
So
And
like
then what happens after the step?
Yeah, and
And
there's a thing that keeps getting said about like geo-fenced
Location.
posts that you can only read when you're at a location.
Yeah.
That's not a thing that exists yet. So that's
Right,
a
yeah.
that's a big question mark.
So then maybe like,
I have a minute left. Can I just ask for ideas on how I could do my thing for a quick second?
Sounds
well,
like
this is exactly
thing.
the analogy.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's exact. It would be the exact.
They're
same
just geo-specific badges.
versus criteria in evidence specific.
Right.
Okay.
So
I would
geo.
just have different. I would have two different.
In this case, we're
properties.
using geo as the criteria.
Perfect. Okay.
You happen to be there.
All right. Perfect. That's the criteria. That works. Evidence is I was there.
So someone coming along when they like someone who's a monster collector might QR scan that same code and then find it and be like, oh my gosh, look at all these monsters that have been posted as responses to this venue, and they're only showing up. Again, we're assuming handwave geofencing works, and then they can basically click on one of those monsters and bookmark it, and that's the act of claiming it.
okay, so once a monster is dropped, multiple people can claim it.
You can
Well,
set.
that
You can
depends.
set it. You
A
can
bookmark
set the,
is also
You can set
a
the
web mention.
requirement.
So when the monster post receives the web mention that like, oh, I've got a bookmark, it can actually decide that it's got multiple instances and leave itself there, like keep a counter, or it can decide, ooh, I'm going to
I'm a very
disappear.
rare one.
It can
Yeah.
unlink from the venue, send a web mention to the venue so that it disappears
Yep.
from the venue. At that point,
That's
the
how
only
it was
person
with,
got a
like, the
reference
super
to it.
rare Pokemon in Pokemon Go. They would be somewhere and then all of a sudden.
well,
Yeah.
or it could be like a hot potato.
That's exactly
where you
right.
take the monster
Yep.
and
So then the
Oh,
only
yeah.
person who has a reference to the monster is the person that bookmarked it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's gone from
Nice.
anywhere else.
We can
That's
play
very cool.
Niantic this way. Forget the
And maybe
Pokemon.
we
I
could-
love. I
They're
love
the
that.
same game.
They really are the same game, same lab. They're the
These
exact
are-
same game.
What
Yeah.
game
It was
is
so
it?
much more fun to
Yeah.
take over.
Ingress.
Ingress, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
yours.
the company.
And the way that you verify the claim is like, I can just have a bookmark to a monster claiming I own it, but like that doesn't mean anything. The monster like links back to me saying, this is my owner.
Yeah.
Links back to my bookmark post.
Nice.
So the monster is the one that's actually verifying who's collected it.
Okay, so can we just, I'm sorry, can we
No,
just
you're-
write this down?
We
Oh,
have to put
yeah.
blockchain in here so that we can.
Ah!
Okay, you're cut off.
Get
You
out.
are cut off.
No.
So like,
Although I did see a look on Aaron's face a minute ago, and I'm almost dead sure next week he's gonna have a QR code generator app that sends micropub requests so that he can.
Well, no,
check
I
in.
love the H card. I like, this is a whole different one, but I really want to turn your pixelated QR of a face into an H card. You can scan my face and
he
get my
walks
H
down the
card.
street,
Oh, that's really
goes
cool.
to Dunkin',
Yeah.
and what does he do at Dunkin'? Walks
That's
it on his phone.
Wow.
You made that
That could
So
be like a-
again,
While
we're
this is
doing a
happening,
QR code.
No,
Everybody, we have
All
8
the
minutes
nerd
to the next
weddings all
session.
over the San Francisco too.
That's going to be
They all want a
in
photo
here
proof.
about data
QR code
portability.
photo proof that prints out the H
Hold
card.
out.
When's the website?
The
Phone.
nerdiest
Sorry?
Yeah,
way.
that's how they discover
Website
the
building,
venue.
is that
That's
the last
it's
one?
after that.
Because
It's not
the
the last one,
Oh,
but it's at 4 o'clock.
And we
No,
block
that
no,
means-
at the, like somewhere in that area, like sees the
Millionaire
sticker posted somewhere,
Silicon
right?
Valley
And like
web.
goes, oh, I know what that
And they
is.
usually have like
That's an
three of them,
indie
'cause when you
mon-
divorce
like,
multiple times,
Mhm.
you get
QR
repeat
code.
customers.
Or like you're saying in Pokemon Go, that they might have seen that like a venue
Yeah,
says,
it's like
hey, there's
digital,
something
yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Okay, after he takes a picture of it, then what?
Then that's what displays the venue and shows them the monsters that are available there, assuming that they're actually
It
there.
is break now, so if you guys do want to walk
Yeah.
out, you're welcome.
Yeah, because I know like in
Thanks for
Pokemon Go,
attention.
it was like they had it obviously on my campus and say it was by like Stoller Steps and you clicked the name, it came up with a little picture of what Stoller Steps was, so that way people kind of knew the area where
Yeah.
they were going, like a little hint kind of. So that's like another
The Indiesaurus.
Mhm.
Indiesaurus.
By bookmarking it, yeah.
And bookmarks it.
Yeah.
By the way, I tried to solve your problem technically.
And how does he bookmark it? Like within the browser?
I wrote it out.
On my website.
Check my website.
So like whatever process
Oh,
I would
like
use.
the
Which
video,
problem?
like a-
This one
I would
right here,
favorite
you
it.
might-
Like everything else,
No,
you
your
post a bookmark
scenario.
post to your personal
I
site.
tried to solve it on
Okay.
my.
Yeah,
So
that's what that's how you
Well,
like
no, here's.
save your
this is
bookmark.
Like
I
there are
have
there
the
are
same-
lots of
yeah.
there are lots
This is
of ways
my-
to
I
do
was
it, but
just close to
ultimately
seeing
there will be a new post on my site that says
But I
this
went
is a
to the
bookmark
broader
of
question of how
that
do you
post.
do an assertion.
Just like Aaron was
I have
writing
a
in
proposal,
reply
but I-
tos earlier, this would just be like bookmark
I don't have
of.
to think about it. So
Okay,
if you
so
go to my
she's
website,
bookmarking it to her site. And then,
Send that sends a web mention to the monster.
right, I was gonna say that, to the venue or the monster?
The monster.
To the
because
monster
Because
the
itself.
monster is like
it-
a
it
token
sends a
that
web
they're
mention to the
tell me
thing you
whether or not
bookmarked.
that makes sense.
Right, and yes, that's
Feel
exactly
free to
why you do
reply
that.
if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
This sends a
So I
web
was trying to figure out how, if I was trying to write your thing, how I would write it.
mention to
Oh, wait,
The
no,
monster.
Indiesaurus.
Yeah.
And then assuming you're the first one that is there to collect
Oh
it.
yeah, do you
Right.
get like special rewards?
It's up to the
and stuff
Indiesaurus
like that?
page to decide. What
Indiesaurus
to-
checks if you met the criteria.
Yeah.
Well, presume
Well,
it might
for
not
his.
have to if geofencing is working, because then it can
But
say the
that's the
only way you would
criteria.
have found this post is if you
Is
were
if you were in the
if you
correct
had already met the
geolocation.
criteria.
But that's like Greg's up, like that, the geofencing is the
questions.
criteria for getting
Yeah.
Indiesaurus.
And
So
actually,
it
like to
is-
go with things like OAuth and how we decide identity, like meeting the criteria is outside the scope of this. So if we somehow hide posts until people show us that they're in a geo area, that is one way. Well, essentially, if we can obscure the post in whatever way we choose until they have met criteria, and only then will they know the URL to actually bookmark, then that's
Yeah,
one way
I
of
mean,
handling
the
criteria.
monster can also try to verify like, oh, is
But it could be
this
that-
person here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be that I post
And
some
gives
criteria in my
Monster.
when I create the
And
monster.
gives,
No, and links
and
back to
their
it.
post
And-
actually needs to demonstrate.
right, I was just trying to think of it in terms of,
Like
Like a
releases
challenge.
itself.
Yeah, I'm supposed to challenge.
Oh no,
their-
there's
their
two things.
claim
One,
post
it
has a
says it
response,
recognizes the first person that bookmarked it as
and
its
then I
owner,
verify that response.
so it links back to that bookmark
This
post.
is why people say blockchain.
This
is where that word comes up.
Checks it,
All right, 4 minutes. I'm
Confirms
gonna go
it.
let people outside.
links back
To the bookmark,
to bookmark.
and
So-
that's how it validates its ownership.
BAG.IE.
And then it unlinks itself from the venue
What is?
and sends a web mention to the venue, and the web venue goes, "You're not looking at me anymore. Okay, you're gone."
Gotcha.
Oh.
This is a total
Where's the
side like
30 bucks.
question, but like
It's not much.
so like when
but
people create
I'm
Just
also
the definitions of numbers.
running
like,
far
how
away
do
from
they
that project.
create like the digital content for like the monsters, like how do you create that like through code?
That's like
I
how
got
do you
my
take a
friends to
picture,
take care of
right?
it.
Your monster might just be like a picture or a
Oh, I
drawing.
see. Okay.
Like you could just like draw a monster, take a picture, that's your monster.
Gotcha.
And people that want to like make really cool looking monsters.
Yeah, like you know how like you can customize like a Bitmoji, like they have
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like how do they make
Who's in the
that?
room? Is Nate still in the room? How do I find that?
I don't know if he was on the Etherpad.
Oh, he's never in the room?
Mhm.
Oh, then I could have really bad. I didn't really want bad medical spec. So I just put, yeah.
That's why I was,
Did you see? I thought it was very diplomatic. I said I like it in HTML for me.
I just wanted you to know who was in the room.
Yeah, thank you, because I would have been like way more like this thing sucks.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
It's done.
so tomorrow we make it.
That's really cool. I'm excited about that.
So you have three actors: the person that's creating the venues, the person that's creating the monsters.
And then the person.
And then the
that's
collector.
Collecting,
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What does the venue need to do? It needs to be able to list monsters?
The venue needs to be able to handle geofenced responses.
Geofence response.
No, the criteria, it's where you, in the
The
terms that are,
response needs to indicate where it was posted from?
Yes.
the venue needs to understand whatever the criteria
No,
is.
the response needs to be able to indicate only show this response to
Only show the
people
response.
when they are within the
viewing it
geofence.
Who meet that criteria of being in the specific area.
Yeah.
Do we really need a venue? What if you just created a check-in and then you did some sort of geo-matching? Like,
Oh,
A
like
check-in,
a
a check-in post links to a venue. So yeah, you just reiterated the requirement.
Yeah, when you do, that's a URL you put in, that's technically a venue, when you put that in your check-in post.
So maybe which,
Also, there's multiple monsters potentially at a venue.
Wait, I
right,
wanna
that's
list
what, I
out
have that
the,
there.
I wanna list
Have-
out these
you can-
Then,
3 roles
select
and
your
the things that
monster
each role needs to be able to do.
why don't, I'll take
Which
the
monster did it get?
website,
There's-
people into another room if you guys
Aaron,
just want to.
if you follow the IRC link I dropped in the main channel, you'll see more detail in like archives from a little over 2 years ago.
The chat one?
Yeah.
did I miss anything?
We finished the floor.
But the key new capability is for a post being able to express that it's geofenced,
Mhm.
and that means that it's only visible within a certain area.
Do we
I
have
think
anything to do
that
that?
cuts 2 ways, right? We talked about 2 different ways of
And then-
representing a challenge, essentially. One is like, can you find this post at all? Can you meet some criteria that will let you see this post? At which point you can interact with it. Geofencing is a good one. And another one is, I can make a post that maybe anyone can see, but it has some kind of challenge in it that in order to qualify for achieving it, you have to meet that challenge in
Yeah.
a post of your own.
And then the second piece of the geofencing support,
Oh,
Greg,
Greg.
look out, you're blocking the door, is
They're
that
trying to make an indie
Oh, okay.
Pokemon game.
is
Oh,
a
nice.
comments display requirement,
It's a monster thing, or, yeah.
which is that if you get a response that indicates it's geofenced, then you have to be able to only display that when the viewer of your post is within that geofence.
What I'm getting
I'm
at
reading
is
what you
if we
were
can
doing.
write down what each role has to do, then that gives someone a to-do list that can fill just one of the roles. So we can distribute.
I agree,
the
I'm
work.
saying we're not there yet. I'm identifying the like key piece of new technology that needs to get like prototyped.
Dave Nelson.
Everything else has been built.
But I thought what needs to happen is well-defined now.
There's a lot of people who want to do the build a website one, right? Is that in this room?
What needs to happen?
It's here, and it's not now, but next. It's at 4 o'clock.
There's a difference between like
Oh,
using an
right.
existing set of building blocks that
No,
work.
right now we're going to do
And
data,
what I'm saying is-
data portability.
And then
There's
followed,
2 missing building
followed by
blocks,
learn to build,
which
we
is
switched it into here,
geofencing
so
a
we
post
get the people remotely.
and displaying geofenced
And then
comments.
notifications.
Just that it hasn't been done before, but you know what it needs to do.
No,
Oh, maybe
we don't have a design for it. It's like we have user requirements and
We'll
that's
build
it. Yeah. But everything else is like a known building block that just works today.
You guys are still in my workers. I need them to build me something.
Okay, it is 3:06.
Oh, let me restart the
Welcome
video.
to, oh yeah, please start video. Welcome to Data Portability, moderated by